My purpose and intent of this video is to have you enjoy this sport to its fullest. And that is, meaning at times catching more fish. 90% of the people in this nation are casting with a 10-2 casting stroke. 90% of the people of this nation are taught. Fly fishing instructors teach the 10-2 casting stroke. The 10-2 casting stroke is fine for line control and loop control. If you really want to catch fish in rivers and streams, in moving water, where the mangroves might be, where you have to get back under them along the coast in salt water, then your cast must change. And let me explain. The very short casting stroke, from not 10-2, but from 1-12, 11-12, whatever, right in here. It's a very short casting stroke. And these are the reasons. The very short casting stroke can get me into a tuck cast on the stream where I can get the nymph to the fish. The very short casting stroke gives me the slack leader cast. The very short casting stroke gets me back under brush where you don't have casting freedom. The very short casting stroke are the keys to the kingdom. And this is the way it is. This is what happens. Watch my hand. The thumb comes up into the cast and stops. Look at my elbow. My elbow is right next to my body. The arm is out. The hand and the wrist is in. From my thumb to my elbow right here is one solid piece. The wrist never breaks. You never hitchhike. So we take the thumb up into the cast and stop it straight up. We drift the hand forward and then we tap it. Watch it again. I'll turn sideways so you can see my hand. My elbow is comfortable next to my body. My thumb comes up into the cast and stops. And when it stops, you stick it. The thumb comes up into the cast forcefully. You stick it. Now you drift your hand forward and you tap it. Now let's add one more ingredient to this. My hand is going to be light on the rod and open. When I come up and stop the rod abruptly up, the hand squeezes. Now we drift the hand forward and we tap it. It's a very short, sharp tap. Let's add one more to this. Now watch the thumb. We come up into the cast as before. We stick it, okay? Watch the hand, we stick it. The thumb is straight up. Now, watch what happens to the thumb. We take that hand forward, we tap it, and the thumb pushes down. Now, watch the thumb. This is the thumb pushing down. And what this does, it takes the line over the rod, and you do not have a tailing loop. This is how you cure the tailing loop, right here with the thumb pressing down. So let's take a look at the hand now. Let's take a look at the cast. The thumb comes up into the cast. The hand is open. We squeeze. Now the hand opens. It relaxes on the grip. We come forward, drift the hand forward, just inches. And we tap, squeeze, and the thumb comes down. So this is your casting stroke right here. Bill Cole was Penn State University's wrestling coach. I worked under Bill for 2 years as an assistant. Bill was three-time national champion, and he had a record of 72-0 in his collegiate career, and he was two-time outstanding wrestler. He had coached at Iowa State Teachers College, which is now Northern Iowa, and came up with great teams, moved on to Penn State, and brought Penn State into a major power. His words to me and his words to the team were these: the most basic fundamentals, refined to perfection, are your most advanced techniques. And so we take this in this context, the most advanced techniques going under the trees, going back under brush, working in tight cover, making strokes that are very difficult to make. And these strokes are very almost imperceptible strokes. And it's called conditioning. And we drill. And we drill till perfection. We refine these skills. And then you become an excellent caster. And so, let's get into this. Let's get into this. Let me show you how to do this. Let me show you how to get the most out of fly fishing. How to get the greatest enjoyment in the world. It's going out and trying to catch a fish and having success because your casting techniques are working for you. What we want to do is keep from the thumb to the elbow. This is one straight piece on the back cast. And your thumb comes up into the cast and stops. The hand drifts forward and we tap. That's your basic. Now we add to it. Now the hand is open, lightly on the rod. Now we drift up into the cast, stick it and squeeze. The hand opens again. We drift forward and squeeze and tap. Now we add one more ingredient to the cake. Now we have the thumb. The thumb is going to be pushing down. Now we take the thumb up into the cast and stick it. The hand was open, now it closes. Now the hand relaxes again on the grip and we come forward to tap. The thumb pushes down. It pushes down. It pushes down. And now we don't have a tailing loop. With the thumb pushing down on the rod handle, it takes the line over the rod tip. It cures the tailing loop. What we never do, there's two words to delete from your vocabulary, always and never. What we never do is on this cast, we never take the thumb back into the cast. This is called hitchhiking. And if you break your wrist on the back cast, what happens is you're throwing a wide tailing loop. You've lost line control, and now the forward cast doesn't cut it. You can't get the job done. So we never hitchhike. We never break the wrist. The hand comes up into the cast, stops, drifts, and stops. If I have no casting room, if I have my back to this tree, and I cannot make a back cast here. Now, remember we talked about the squeeze? Watch what the squeeze does. I can, without a back cast here, I can get the line into motion and squeeze. That squeeze energized the rod and energized that line the whole way through the cast with nothing but a squeeze. So I'm shooting distance without a back cast because I can't back cast here. What does a short stroke do? It does these things. I don't have any room behind me. I have hemlock boughs behind me, and there's really no casting room. But what will happen? The line is in motion, you squeeze. Now that line is going up there quite a distance, and this is a secret when the streams are low and clear. This is one of the major secrets, right there. Squeeze. Right there is a 30-foot cast. I'll extend that cast. Squeeze. So this is one of the things you want to learn to do. Now watch my hand. Watch the casting stroke. Watch my casting hand. The line is in motion. Squeeze. How short is that stroke? That stroke is not short. All I did was the back thumb, two fingers pulled, the thumb pushed, and that was your cast. Right there. Watch it again. Watch my hand. The thumb pushes, the back two fingers pull. That's the cake. Right there. Now watch it again. The line is in motion. Squeeze. The top of the shot. The reason for the short casting stroke, there's so many things you can do with it. with a 10-to-2 cast so many times that you can't, under limbs, under obstructions, it's very difficult to get there because you have what? You don't have the line control, you don't have that short stroke to tighten that loop, so it's very tight to take it back under the limbs, particularly when you don't have room for a back cast. If I don't have room for a back cast here, the rod comes up into the cast, I take the rod forward and it's a very short stroke. That line not only went under the brush, but where did it go? It went completely back under the limb and to the far bank. I'm up, I'm down, I'm squeezing. I'm up, I'm down, I'm squeezing. And that very short, imperceptible squeeze takes me not only under the tree limbs, but back to the far bank. Secondly, if I'm dry fly fishing and I need an excellent slack leader cast for drag-free drifts, then watch what I do. The rod again stops up. The casting stroke is extremely short, right here. Look where the rod tip is. The rod never came down. It stayed up. Okay? So I climb the angle on the cast, I shock it, I drop it. And when I dropped it, I had shocked all the slack into the leader at the end of the cast. And when I dropped it, I dropped all that slack on the leader for a drag-free float. So this cast, the elbow is in. It's an extremely short stroke. It's a shock. It's a drop. George Harvey taught me this when I was a youngster. He handed me my tail from infancy to adulthood. He embarrassed me more times than I would like to admit. But this was one of the keys to the kingdom that got me into more fish, more fishing enjoyment, catching fish, the hard fish, the fished over fish, the fish that were difficult to catch, that had been really the wise guys of the trout world. These fish you could finally out-slick because you could finally get a perfect drag-free drift. Let me show you how the short stroke comes in nymphing also. We saw that very short stroke right here and stopping the rod high and dropping it gave you a beautiful slack leader cast for the dry fly. And where is all this action taking place? Right here. My arm is next to my body. These are the casts. Now, if you're nymphing and you want to get into into trout that are down deep off the bottom, watch this cast. This is called the tuck cast. I stop the rod. Where's the rod stop? It stops high. Now I wait till I feel the pull of the weight behind the rod, and I watch, and the tip will bounce. When that tip bounces, it says to me, go. Then I can make the forward cast, but not until then. So this is what happens. I come up into the cast, I stop it, I wait till it bounces, then there's the tuck. And the nymph drives down into the water. Now I have control of that nymph from the impetus of that cast back to me the whole way through the drift. I am shooting a lot of line right here. There's your deep tuck. And how did we do that? We did it here. The hand was open. Watch the hand on the rod again. I'll shorten up so we can see it. And we now, and also remember that we have to wait till we feel the pull of the weights. This is where the cast changes. Normally it's stop, drift, stop. But in nymphing now, when we have weights on the business end and weighted nymphs, now we have to wait till we feel the pull of the weights behind us on the back cast before we can make a forward cast. This is how we're going to learn this. The first thing we have to do is take the arm out of the cast. And so we're going to take the arm out of the cast, we're going to put our elbow on our knee, and we're going to stop the rod straight up and down, right at the brim of my hat. What we're going to do, point the rod down at the ground first, so the line moves quickly. We want the very end of the line to move, and when the very end of the line starts to move, anytime after that we can make the cast. So if the rod tip is down, when we're learning, we'll do this. We start with the rod tip down, we elevate the rod, we start to bring it up, and we're climbing what we call an angle, and we'll get into that in a minute. Then we bring the rod up sharply, right straight up and down, 12 o'clock, but straight up and down is 12 o'clock, and we stop it abruptly. Then we just tap forward. So we stop it, we drift it, we tap it. All you have to remember here is that once the rod is stopped, if you can say 1,000, if you can't count to 1,000, just say 100. When you say 1,000, it's time to go forward. And when we go forward with the rod, don't drive the rod down on the forward cast, just simply stop it. So meaning that we stop the rod straight up and down, drift the hand forward, and just a tap with the wrist. So here are your basics again. The hand is open on the rod, nice and light. We start with the tip down. We lift the tip. We're climbing up into an angle. We stop the rod straight up and down, and then we tap. And you can learn this in the backyard on your knee in 15 minutes. There is no mystique. There are no secrets. Just learn to start the rod low, get the line into motion, stop it, drift the hand forward, and stop it again. Now you're a caster. In casting, because of obstructions, there are times when you cannot cast from here to here. In casting, there are times when you have to cast from here, here. And the whole way around this arc, the casting mechanics are the same. We stop the rod, we drift it forward. The whole way around this arc, it happens. Watch it. I start down. I get the line into motion. I stop the rod across my body and simply stop it. Now, when I stop it abruptly and tap. Stop it abruptly and tap it. Now, on the forward stroke, when I tap it forward, there's simply a stop, just a drift forward and a touch. Look at the wrist. It's just wrist, wrist. So think about this. The wrist is locked on the back cast, but taps on the forward cast. Tap, tap, tap. So I say, stop it, wrist, stop it, wrist, stop it, wrist, stop it, wrist, stop it, wrist. Now I'm starting with the line and the rod tip pointing to the line. And we're not using very much line. We're only using, say, 20 feet of line. And this is the best way to learn. Then in this way you have much more line control. So what we're doing now, we're getting the line into motion, we're elevating the rod, and we stick it, and we tap it. The hand is open on the rod, we know that. And when we stick it, we pick up the speed from here to here. It's a very short casting stroke from here to here, and we stop the rod abruptly right between our eyes. Right between our eyes. Now the rod stops straight up, and then we make the forward cast. Now don't jerk it. If you jerk this line and then try to make a cast, then we have a heck of a mess. What you want to do is get the line straight, start to pick it up, get it into motion. The very end of the line is moving, it's moving, it's moving, and the casting stroke, that stick, stopping the rod straight up, is very short and very sharp. Okay? Once we stop it, we drift the hand forward very slightly and then make another tap. So my hand is open, we stick it, we tap it. Now remember, the thumb is pressing down, and that down pressure is taking the line up over the rod tip. So it's stick, it's tap. Now we're going around the arc. And we do this because we don't always have the casting freedom straight overhead. So when we do this, we stop the wrist again. Everything's the same. We have the little squeeze, we stop, we tap. We drift the rod forward, we tap. We squeeze the rod handle, we tap. You don't want to squeeze the rod handle too tightly. You don't want a pile of sawdust at the bottom of the, underneath your rod handle, which used to be your rod handle. Don't squeeze it that tight. Just get the line into motion, stop it, tap it. 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 When you learn this, when you learn to cover this arc, when you learn to stop the rod abruptly straight up and down, when you learn to get the fly into motion and then stop it, all of these little things are going to enhance your future fishing. Now I'm going to stand up because I'm not 16 anymore. I cramp up a little bit. I have a battle with the old arthritis, and so when you have physical impairments and you can't get down on one knee, that's not a bad idea to do this in your backyard with a chair. I'll get a chair so that I can sit down on. I'll take a bar, or just in this case a 2x4, and just put it across the arm of the chair. Then I'll just take a pillow and wrap it up, and I'll just put it on the bar. And now I can sit comfortably in my backyard or wherever I want to be and work on my casting and doing the same thing. One thing that is necessary when we're fishing, we have to have some accuracy. That means we have to take the fly to the trout wherever that trout might be. And so this is how we do it. I'll use my knee pad for a target, and I'll pick it up and I'll walk it out to where I feel that I'm comfortable with the casting distance. Now, we're not going to throw a lot of distance. All we're going to do here again is work for line control. And just remember this: where the thumb and knuckles go, your hand is on the rod in this position. Where the thumb and knuckles go, the rod tip goes, that's where the cast goes. So I stand with my casting foot. This is my casting hand. I'm not going to jerk. Remember, we're not going to jerk anything. One of the things about casting, and if you want a great forward cast, the secret of a great forward cast is a great back cast. And Ralph Daugherty, one of my dear friends, who was an All-American football player for Pitt University back in Jock Sutherland's day, and he became a surgeon, but he also became a great caster. And he gave me this casting tip. What we want to do is climb the angle, meaning we take the rod right on up the angle, we stop it straight up in the air, and then take it forward. Let me show you what this angle does, and let me show you the angle. Okay, incidentally, here again, when we climb this angle, we don't jerk anything. I always say I don't want the jerk here and I don't want the jerk out here. There's not going to be any jerks. So we're going to climb into this. We're going to lift, 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 lift. Now there's an angle right there. From the line on the ground up to the rod tip, that's an angle. So we continue on up the angle, stop the rod straight up, and then make the forward cast. Now what I've done, I've made a high, tight back cast and a high, tight loop. And now I have a great forward cast. When I'm on this stream, and I want to make a nice cast, I'll climb the angle here. I'll take the rod down. I'll climb the angle here. I'll stop it high. I'll tap it. I'll start it here. I'll climb the angle. Right here. There's the angle. I'll stop it. I'll tap it. One of the things when you're casting, whether you realize it or not, you're making a circle. and the rod is under constant pressure. The line is loading the rod constantly. It's stop, drift, stop, but whether you realize it or not, it's a little circle right here. And so this little circle, it's stop, drift, stop. That little circle has the rod loaded continually so that when you're going back under brush, when you're making a slack leader cast, when you're making that tuck cast, then the rod is loaded all the time. So it's something that you want to think about. And incidentally, there's two ways of doing this. You can make a circle here. I come off to the side and come over my head. Off to the side and over my head. There's the one circle. Here's the other circle. One cast we have to make this thing go and to catch more fish is a roll cast. In the backyard, you need somebody to either stand on the line because you don't have the tension of the water. So what I do, I just take a nail, a big nail like this, wrap the line and tie it onto it and just stick it into the ground. So that'll be my prop to hold the line tight between me and my target. Now what I do, the elbow again is in. The arm is out of this cast. And I want the line to come off the end of the rod behind me. Because now the line is really loading the rod the whole way through this cast. Here's what you do not do. When the rod, reel, your hand is out of your peripheral vision, you cannot make the casting stroke. It falls apart. It'll fall apart every time. You just don't have the energy to do it. You don't have the speed, and the rod is not loaded to do it. So when your rod hand, your reel, the whole ball of wax is out of your peripheral vision and you can't see it, you can't make the cast. It's simple. First, load the rod. Have the line behind it. Elbow in. Take your hand, your casting hand, out in front of you, out to here, before you make the casting stroke. And if you do this, if you take your hand out in front of you, now you have a roll cast. Look what the hand is. My hand is here. My hand is right in front of me. How did we cast today? We were casting here, we were casting here. We're doing the same thing with a roll cast. The rod is back. The rod is tilted just enough to free the line behind it. The rod is going to be loaded because we have the line dropping off the rod behind us. So many times people do not let the rod load. So many times people have the line here and start the roll cast and the rod is never loaded. The line isn't loading it because here it does it. Okay? Now I drop it back here. I have the line loading it. My thumb is on the top of the rod right here. There's my grip right here. Plenty of line behind that rod. The more line you have behind the rod, the further you can cast. Now, elbow in. Drift the rod forward out to here. You're going to take, this is going to be a hammer. You're going to take your hammer out to the nail. This is the nail out here. You're going to take the hammer out to the nail before you tap it. And once you tap it, it's gone. Now you're a caster. Okay. If you want the line to go up in the air, as for a dry fly cast when you're roll casting, as you take the hand forward, you take the thumb and push the thumb up into the cast. And now it's going high. So when you push the thumb up into the cast out in front of you, you have a nice high cast. And then when you want the line to collapse, you have to, and then you drop the rod. And now you're putting the slack into the leader. If you want a nice tight loop and you want to go back under that bush, then you drift the rod forward and make a very short stroke. And the tighter the stroke, it's just a squeeze, the tighter the loop. And this is how you get back under things. So, this is a very important cast. You're going to need it. First, stop it. Load it. And what's your hand doing? What did my hand do? Through all of my casts, the hand was open. On the forward cast, in this case, we squeeze. We still push the thumb down. We still squeeze. We get that extra energy. We can go the angle again. We can do the whole arc. If I don't have the casting freedom, I squeeze. I load it. I squeeze. I load it. I squeeze. The hand still has to come out in front before the cast can be made. The elbow's in tight right here against the body. The rod is back. You drift the rod hand forward and then squeeze. The hand is loose on the rod. The thumb is on top. The rod hand comes forward and we squeeze. The tighter the squeeze, the shorter the stroke, the tighter the loop. We don't have to be in the rain. It's snowy out. We don't have to stand in the snow. And not only that, but it's fun in here. It's great. We have a nice audience to watch us. It's cool. This is a casting film, and when I put this together, I wanted to be able to not just to teach adults how to fish, but children like you guys, your children. So never attempt to teach children outside when the elements are not conducive to learning. Wind, cold, heat, any factor causing discomfort. If possible, take them inside where you have a controlled atmosphere, no wind, comfortable temperatures, and personal comfort. Now, here's how we grip, like this, all right? Show me your grip, okay. Now, one of the things we never do, the only thing I'm going to ask you never to do, two words we don't have in our vocabulary is always a never, and this is one of the nevers, okay? Never do this. Never take your thumb back. We're always in the cast. We're going to take our thumb up into the cast, up, okay? Give me your hand. Give me your casting hand. Lay your arm right on your body here. Comfortable, okay? Now, take your thumb up, just up. All right, now take your hand, and from your elbow, from your thumb to your elbow, it's going to be one piece, okay? And just stick it. Okay, just stick it. And that's half of it. Now the other half is take it forward and tap, tap, tap. Now, what we're going to do, I'm going to say, and stop and go, okay? And it's going to be stop, go, and stop. All right, here we go. Give me your hand, casting hand. Here it goes, and stop, go, and stop. Don't break. Once they understand the hand position on the rod, go to the dial and glow yarn and teach the basic casting stroke. So I just wrapped it around here, and it's kind of nice and spongy, and we squeeze it, okay? And sometimes when we squeeze it, we make the cast even better. We can stop it. All right, now, what I want you to do, and I'll come around and help each one of you, I want you to put your elbow on your knee right here, like you have. I want you to stop the rod straight up and tap. Stop the rod straight up and tap. Okay? Okay. Keep their interest. Keep each segment short. They have a short attention span, and I'm not much better. Work with each child. Help them get a feel for the cast. If you don't see it, don't be concerned. It will come. Be patient. Constantly give them encouragement. And once they have a basic understanding of what you want them to do, move on. and stress only the three basics. Stop up for the back cast, go for the drift, and tap for the forward cast. If we learn to stop the rod straight up and down, now we're casters. Good, good, good. All right. I'm going to give you each a hammer. I'll give you a big hammer. I'll give you a big hammer. All right, and I'll give you one in a minute, Grayson. What we do on that forward stroke, like this, watch what I do. On the forward stroke, I tap, a little tap. So I stick it and I tap it, okay? And so what this does, this little hammer, when we're hammering a nail, we tap, okay? So give me your hand, put your hand right on your knee, and all I want you to do is tap. Okay, now, we don't tap down, we're going to hang a picture on the wall. So we just tap the picture like that. Okay, Gracie, let me see you tap the picture on the wall. Now, from the hammer drill, incorporate this motion with the dowel and glow yarn. With the tap of the forward cast, you are teaching the check, a basic fundamental that will someday be an advanced skill. All right, very good. Oh, I want you to lay your upper arm right on your body like this, and we're going to stop the rod straight up and down right in front of us, okay? All right. Correct mistakes. Go from student to student. Call them by name. Keep it personal and constantly give praise and encouragement. Sooner or later, they will learn. It's conditioning. Stop the rod up and tap on the forward cast. Stop and pop. Drill. Help them get a feel for the cast. A little more up and into it, okay? That's it. All right, now Gracie, when you do this, stick it up, pop, and then go. Pop and stop. Stop and pop, okay? Okay. Straight up and down, don't break the rod. Now, watch what I do again, hold up. When I stop the rod straight up and down, okay? And when I stop it straight up and down, I have a little pop into it, okay? When I stop the rod straight up and down, I will pop it up. Keep it simple. Stay with three basics. The rod stops straight up and down on the back cast. Drifting the rod hand forward is an automatic act, with the words or cues being go, and, or drift, such as stop, go, tap, stop and tap, stop, drift, tap, and thirdly, take the hammer out in front and tap it. Straight up, Gracie, and tap. And straight up and tap, okay? And straight up and tap. And straight up and down. Now watch what I do here. Hold up. When I do this, I do it right between my eyes. Now if I hit myself in the head, it feels so good when I quit. Have a sense of humor, even if it goes over their head or the punchline bombs. Keep it fun. My arm is in front of me, my rod is in front of me, and I stop it straight up and down and end tap. So it's not much. You only have that much casting space, and that's all you have to do, okay? So stop and go, okay? Here we go, make it short, okay? Put it right in between your eyes and stop it straight up. Okay. Bring it up here, Maxie, real quick. Boom, boom. Okay. Boom. Now you have to let the line, it come behind you, okay? Stop up and take it. Stop up and take it, okay? All right. Good, kids, good. Keep your arm in next to your body, Max. And bring it up quick. Come on top, bring it up quick. Okay, kids, now hold up a second. You're doing very well, you're looking good. I want you to lift the rod up a little higher and then make it quick. Bring it up, you only have that much space. Bring it up real quick and then stop, okay? And stop it straight up and down. Bring it up, boom, boom. And we'll say, stop and tap. Here we go again. And stop and tap. Good, Manny, good, good, good. Stop and tap. Good, Max. All right, Pen. All right, now, when you're bringing up, Pen, bring it straight up. Okay, straight up and down, right to your nose. A little quicker. Not forward, just a little quicker up. A little. See, we want this to come around. We want this to come right over our heads. All right, stop it, up and take. Good, Grace. Good, hon. Good, good. Good, Manny. Good, Max. All right, now you're casters. Now you're looking good. All right. Sometimes when we're fishing, we have to learn to cast from different angles because there's too many trees and it's hard to get into some places. And sometimes these fish we're after, these trout we're after, or whatever fish we're after, they're pretty hard to catch sometimes, and we have to be pretty good. So what we have to do, we have to make a little arc. Are you with me, kids? All right. Stop, go. Stop, go. Stop, go. Stop, go. Stop, go. Okay? I want you to put your casting elbow on your casting knee, all right? And we're going to tap it here. Okay, we got it here. All right, now, then what I want you to do, we'll have to get some more space, but I want you to take it here. I want you to take it here. I want you to take it over here. I want you to go around the circle. This is one of the skills that is a must if one is to become a good fly fisher. To be able to work from any angle across the body, low parallel cast to the water. Trout and trout streams can be unforgiving. Working the angles can be the great equalizer. Well, that's it. Now, put your elbow on your knee. Put your elbow on your knee. That's it. Across the body. That's it. Boom, 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 boom. That's it. Say stop and go. Stop and go. Stop and go. All right. Good, kids. Hey, you're better than I am. Grace, this is your rod. You keep your pad because you're going to be on your knee. Manny, this is your rod. Never start a child out with a telephone pole for a rod. Start them out with one small enough and light enough for them to handle. Cumbersome rod causing physical pain ends any attempt to teach and learn. Okay, now, come with me. Come over here with me. Stop, go, and stop. Okay, that's good. Good. Now, bring your arm in a little closer and stop it straight up and just tap it. Don't tap. The basics continue with the fly rods. Stop the rod up and then tap forward. The arm is out, the wrist is in. Just nail the picture on the wall right here. Tap. Okay, good. All right, now, Penn, what you have to do, you have to stop the rod quickly, straight up and down, and then go. Okay, stop it straight up and down, and then go. Okay, okay, now, Manny, what we want to do, and we're doing very well, what I want us to do is stop the rod straight up and down, and then tap. Straight up and down, and then tap. Just with the wrist. Boom, no arm. There we go. Good. Good. Use a handkerchief to lock the rod to the wrist. This keeps the student from breaking the wrist on the back cast. Okay. Just for a second, only a cast or two. Maxie? A little tight for a minute. It'll only be a minute. Okay, now what this does, it's going to stop you from breaking that wrist. Okay, you got the rod, hold the rod there with the thumb on top. Okay. Okay, now, what we're going to do, children, bring up the rods, okay, make your cast, and see what happens now. See what happens now. See, the rod can't come back. The rod stops straight up, and then you tap it. A little tight, but That's all right, we'll take it off quickly. Okay, now, we stop it quick, we tap it. Okay, we stop it quick, we tap it. Beautiful casting, beautiful kids, beautiful. MGM, 20th Century Fox. Stop that rod sooner, Penn, that's a boy. Now you're casters, right uptown. Around the arc with the fly rod, off the knee, this is a carryover from the dial and glow yarn. A good drill, working across the body, is not a natural position, but an important one for a complete caster. Work to stop the rod from coming back on the back cast, and employ the tap of the wrist on the forecast. It's repetition for every position. That's it. And the wrist. Cast is going to watch what we do. The elbow next to the body. Stop the rod straight up and see if you can just take it. Now to your casting foot, put your casting foot right at the target. And where your thumb and knuckles go, that's exactly where this is going to go, right there. All right, you try. All right, now pull your elbow in. Good, honey. Now bring your elbow in and you got it. Look at this for accuracy. These guys are great. We'll let the rod do it. Casting for accuracy to rings made from plastic tubing, 40 inches in circumference, and placed 25 to 30 feet in front of each student. With their concentration on the target, watch the drills pay off. Their casting mechanics are surprising, as is their accuracy. As I end this 45-minute lesson, think about this. We are not just teaching skills, but preparing these children for an activity they can enjoy the rest of their lives. And these children will be the future guardians and protectors of our lakes, rivers, and streams, our resources. Now we're ready to go fishing. Now we're ready to put these tactics and techniques together for your fishing enjoyment. Remember, 10 and 2 can help. But the short casting stroke, the techniques you see here, are going to get you into more fish. In streams and rivers where you have more moving water, you're going to have so much more enjoyment. The casting arm is next to the body. The line drops behind the rod to load it. The casting hand drifts forward, and it is in front of me before I squeeze and tap the short forward stroke. It's the wrist. Now I have distance, accuracy, and line control in tight brush and a native brook trout. As I lengthen the roll cast, more line drifts behind the rod, and the rod is loaded instantly and is in constant motion to the forward cast. This is to avoid the drag of the lip currents and the brush behind me. One thing about getting into tight places, think about this. Take your rod tip to the level you want to go under, right here. Drift the rod tip beyond it, and then simply squeeze. And that's how you get back under. You're not throwing the fly under, you're throwing a tight loop under. You're throwing the line under. And the shorter the squeeze, the tighter the loop. And that's the secret of getting back under tight places like this, as you just saw. The casting arm is tight to the body. The cast is no more than a squeeze of the rod handle, with the thumb pressing down. The back cast is a circle of the wrist, with the rod stopping up, then drifting the rod tip to the level you want and squeeze. This technique was grabbing as I worked under a log, which you will see in this video. And I worked under that log on a distance shot. And so that short squeeze is imperative. You've got to have it. The casting stroke is short, arm next to the body. It's wrist. The arm is out of the cast, just like in the backyard practice session, on the knee. Look at the distance and the tight loop I get to go under the log with a tight casting stroke. Like I say, you gotta have it.
Yep.
I'm bouncing the rod tip to load the rod for the cast. The casting stroke is nearly imperceptible. There is little room for a back cast, and the arm is next to the body. Nymphing, using the tug cast, the rod stops up, centered directly in front of me and lined up on my nose. Arm next to the body. The rod stops high for a deeper tuck on the first cast. On the second cast, I don't want as much depth into shallower slack water, so I drift the rod further forward before I employ the casting stroke. The line hesitates, and I'm into a fish. The tuck cast, as you have seen, is compact. The arm is out. The check adds slack leader right up to the nymph and allows the nymph to settle quickly to the bottom. The nymph is drifting a tad slower than the currents. It is a combo of the cast and weight regulation. On this series of casts, I began working across my body. As I continue to cover the water and the velocity changes, I'll adjust the position of the rod in front of me, staying with the basics. Thumb up into the cast, the squeeze, shocking or checking the cast, and always waiting till I feel the pull of the weights and nymphs behind me on the back cast before I make a forecast. This nice native brown trout took at the end of the drift, in front of me. Stay with the drift to the bitter end. As I work upstream, because I'm a lefty and the cover I want to work under is on my right, I will cast across my body, keeping the arm next to my body and drifting the rod, not my arm, to the degree and level where I want the cast to go. Once again, we have to wait till we feel the pull of the weights on the back cast. And if you use your arm or break the wrist, fully flex it, the weights will lift and you will hang on the limbs, not go under them. One cast that is imperative to nymphing is the down and upper cast. The nymph drives down, the rod tip stays up. This is a pocket water tactic. The cast is extremely compact, elbow tight to the body. The back cast stops up, 12 o'clock, and the forward cast is the check, a squeeze of the rod handle, and a sharp, nearly undetectable tap of the wrist. As stated, George Harvey, my mentor, emphatically stressed checking the forecast with a sharp tap of the wrist, squeezing the rod handle at the same time. It's checking or shocking the cast. The rod stops high, then check the cast and immediately drop the rod tip down. This stacks the leader and gives you S-curves of leader right up to the fly for a drag-free drift. So we shock it, we drop it. And we have a fish. And so one of the things that helped with this fish and with many fish where they're a little touchy is the fact that we shocked it, we dropped it, we had a good float, and we have a beautiful brook trout. So, and don't get the concept at all. We're looking at a trout that anybody would be proud to catch. We're in Labrador, and yes, we have huge trout, but I surely do enjoy catching a beautiful brook trout of this nature and of this size.